What is up, everybody? It is the True Epic Gamer here, and it is officially that time. Mario Kart World has been out for almost 3 weeks now, and at this point most people who own a Switch 2 have had plenty enough time to give it a real shot. Even those who don't have one have watched enough YouTube videos to form their own opinion on the game. And let's just say the community is very divided on this one. I made a video recently covering some of the flaws in Mario Kart World, and the comments absolutely blew up. Seriously, 3,000 comments is insane. Everyone had something to say. Some people in a nice way, others not so much. But one thing became really clear looking at those comments. A lot of players feel like Nintendo dropped the ball with this one. And I kept seeing the same thing pop up over and over. People saying they're going back to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, calling it the better game and the only real way to play traditional Mario Kart on the Switch. Now, before everybody jumps on me in the comments, let's be real, you probably already typed out that hate comment. Just remember, I'm just one guy with one opinion. But in that video, you all had plenty to say as well. First off, I want to say thank you to everybody who watched that video. It passed 130,000 views and has almost 5,000 likes, which is absolutely insane. Obviously, I can't talk about every single comment since there's 3,000 of them, but I do want to take a look at a couple of them that really stood out. Let's take a look at a few comments that actually inspired me to make this video. A ton of you made it really clear that you think Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is the better game. Some of you straight up said you're not going to buy World because 8 is that much better, and a few of you even have World and ended up switching back to 8 anyway. So what's the big deal? Is Mario Kart World really that bad? And is it really that much worse than Mario Kart 8? Well, yes and no. There are some things that Mario Kart World was always going to lose at. For one, it obviously couldn't launch with over 100 tracks like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe has now, but honestly, I don't see a lot of people complaining about that. What people are really mad about, myself included, are the fundamentals of the game. The biggest change? Nintendo basically shoved the classic 3-lap system format to the side and replaced it with this strange system where you drive a 2-lap highway, intermission is what a lot of people want to call it, and then you do a single lap on the actual track. If you've seen my other videos, I probably sound like a broken record at this point, but that just doesn't make any sense. It completely ruins the Grand Prix experience in single player, since there's no way to just race a normal 3-lap race. And it ruins online as well, because the only way to get a standard race is if everybody picks random and you get lucky and it lands on somebody that picked random. Otherwise, you end up doing the intermission tracks, the highways, the slow, long, wide open tracks you keep seeing in other people's videos. These changes alone make Mario Kart 8 Deluxe feel like the better experience, and I don't blame anybody for switching back. The next biggest complaint I've seen you guys talk about is the 24-player races and how they actually make the game worse. At first, 24 racers I thought actually sounded pretty cool, like it might turn up the classic Mario Kart chaos that we all love, and it does do that, but in the worst way imaginable. With 24 players crammed on a single track, the game doing everything it can to keep everybody close together, it just turns into a stampede. You've got 23 players bumping into each other non-stop, and maybe one guy who's ahead of the pack staying out front until the very end when somebody in 4th place uses a ridiculously overpowered item and then just rockets into 1st. And that's pretty much what happens every single race, and that's just comes with this 24-player races. With all the rubber banding, the flood of items that everyone has, and how much pure luck it takes to win, it just doesn't feel skill-based anymore. And I'm not the only one saying this. Tons of players have mentioned they just want the option to race with 12 players again. And until that happens, this is just one more reason people are going to go back to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe or just not buy Mario Kart World altogether. But the number one reason most people are sticking with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, you guessed it, it's simple, it's money. Let's break it down. First, you got to buy a brand new console for $450. Then Mario Kart World is another $80 if you can't get the bundle. So you're looking at over $530 just to play a Mario Kart game that you might not even like as much as the one that you already own. And that 10-year-old game, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, it has over 100 tracks, a huge character roster, kart customization, 12-player races, and the classic 3-lap system that we all grew up with. When you stack it all up, it's pretty obvious why so many people are sticking with Mario Kart 8. Why pay more for less content? But let's not make this video completely one-sided. There are definitely a few things Mario Kart World does better than Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. First off, the visuals. I know some people will say that the design is better in MK8, but honestly, it's subjective and it's opinion based. But at the end of the day, Mario Kart World in 4K looks pretty incredible, and I personally think it's a step up visually from Mario Kart 8. Then there's the new rail grinding and wall riding mechanics. Easily some of the best additions that we've ever gotten in a Mario Kart game. These actually add a huge skill gap, which is something that can make this game fun forever, and it will be very, very hard to master. If you don't believe me, go watch some of the time trials and check out the insane shortcuts that people are pulling off with these new mechanics. It'll give you some serious Mario Kart Wii vibes. And finally, we've got to mention the open world. Yes, I've criticized it before, and I still think it's completely bare bones and could have been way better than it is. But at the same time, it's still something cool that Mario Kart 8 Deluxe doesn't have. Just being able to drive around freely and explore something outside of just the usual races is a nice little bonus. So, what do you guys think? Is Mario Kart World worth the upgrade, and does it live up to the hype? Or is it a little bit of a letdown and you think you'll just stick with Mario Kart 8? Most people were hyped when they saw the Donkey Kong Bananza trailers, and honestly, so was I. But now, after a few hours of actually playing this game, wow, Nintendo actually cooked this time. That's right, I know a lot of you guys clicked on this expecting a rant or some kind of what went wrong video, but the truth is, this game is amazing so far. And I don't see that changing the deeper I get into these caves. Donkey Kong Bananza feels like a mashup of other amazing Nintendo games, but every single piece is reimagined to make something fresh and fun. The team behind Mario Odyssey is back, and yeah, you can feel those Odyssey vibes instantly with this game. But what surprised me the most is this doesn't feel like a copy and paste of Mario Odyssey. It's a breath of fresh air in a gaming world that has felt a little stale and boring over the past few years. And Odyssey isn't the only game that influenced this masterpiece. I picked up stuff from the open world Zelda games and of course the classic Donkey Kong games. I noticed awesome little Easter eggs and references even in just the first hour of this game. From iconic songs to subtle little visual callbacks to past Donkey Kong games. This game feels like it has the love and legacy of the entire franchise and other Nintendo games all behind its back. Sure, there are some obvious ones, like bananas are basically this game's version of power moons from Mario Odyssey, but it goes way deeper than that. For example, Bananza brings in its own version of shrines, just like in Breath of the Wild, but it puts a Donkey Kong twist on them. Some of these challenges are super difficult and some are super creative, and they don't feel boring in the slightest. I can already see people arguing that they're even better than the Zelda shrines. Then there's stuff you might not even notice right away, like the climbing. It's got the same free-form feel as Breath of the Wild, except instead of slowly scaling a mountain and running out of stamina, Bananza says, what if you could climb at 100 miles per hour forever with no stamina? Wouldn't that be fun? And they're right, it's super fun. I haven't even gotten to this part yet, but I know the game eventually lets you transform into different creatures. And that looks like Mario Odyssey's capping mechanic taken to the extreme. All these systems that are clearly inspired by Nintendo's other games, but they've been rebuilt to fit Donkey Kong's world in a way that feels fresh and not just reused. The most smashing part of Donkey Kong Bananza is, well, you guessed it, it's the smashing. I thought the idea of destroying the world looked pretty cool in the trailers, but I honestly wasn't sold on it and I kind of figured it would get old pretty quick. And maybe it will get old eventually, but from the very beginning, smashing through the rocks and the terrain felt weirdly satisfying. There were so many ways to destroy things in this game, and I'm pretty sure I've only scratched the surface. You can punch forward, you can punch down, you can punch up. You can dive bomb into the ground, you can rip up boulders and throw them into things, or even surf on them like some kind of jungle Tony Hawk or something. And just when you think that maybe you've seen it all and it's gonna start getting a little bit boring, you unlock new abilities in a skill tree. A skill tree in a Donkey Kong game. I mean, whoever thought we'd be saying that? The moment I leveled up my punch to level 2, I felt like I turned into Prime King Kong, just obliterating everything in my path more efficiently. It's chaotic, it's over the top, and that's what makes it so much fun. This game found a way to make pure destruction feel unbelievably satisfying. I don't know if anybody was really doubting this, but let's put it to rest anyway. The game is visually stunning. The colors are vibrant, the lighting is crisp, and the contrast just pops off the screen. The team already proved they know how to make a beautiful game with Mario Odyssey, and Bananza is no different. I've only played the first few levels, and even within that handful of areas, the variety is overwhelming in the best way possible. It's like every level is dripping with different colors of the rainbow and new color combos to keep your eyes glued to the screen. Every level is showing off a new palette, and I'm all here for it. Except this green Donkey Kong skin. I have no idea who asked for this, but you know, I guess somebody might like it. But seriously though, if this is how the game starts, I can't wait to see what those later levels might have in store. This wouldn't be a video on my channel if I didn't mention at least one flaw that I noticed, and for me, in this game, it's the camera. Most of the time, it's totally fine, but sometimes when you're in small caves or tight areas, it just gets really weird. Sometimes the game zooms out and gives you a cool little X-ray vision effect so you can see through the walls and see the caves around you. And when that happens, it's perfect. You stay oriented, you keep moving, no problem. But then other times it doesn't do that for some reason, and you're just staring at just dirt, totally disoriented, hopping around and just jumping everywhere, hoping you're going in the right direction. It's not game breaking or anything, it's just a little bit annoying when it happens. I really wish the game always defaulted to that zoomed out X-ray view when you're in a tight spot, because it clearly already has that in the game, so why not use it? The only other thing that might throw some people off is that this game is very, very different from the other Donkey Kong games we've had before. And I get it, anytime a franchise this old changes direction, some fans are going to push back and just straight up hate it no matter what it is. But honestly, if you're one of those fans, I highly recommend giving this a shot. This game is gonna breathe new life into a franchise that's been stuck in the same place for a long time. This game is bold, fresh, and it's great. And if I'm being honest, this feels like Donkey Kong's version of Breath of the Wild. A complete reinvention that somehow still feels like it belongs to the franchise. In a time where the Switch 2 lineup was starting to look a little bleak and nobody really had many reasons to buy a Switch 2, if I'm being honest, they still don't. I mean, we're talking about 2 games at this point. But this game might have just bought Nintendo some time. We don't get a new Donkey Kong game very often, and when we do, it's usually just another classic side-scroller. And don't get me wrong, I love those games, like they're great. But this is something totally different. For the past decade, maybe even longer, Nintendo's been carried by Mario and Zelda hard. Donkey Kong's always been the side project, the if you have the extra time game. It's never been the must-buy game that Mario and Zelda has been for the past decade. But now, this might finally be Nintendo's big 3. Mario, Zelda, and the newly leveled up Donkey Kong back to claim his spot at the top with the big dogs. Let me know in the comments, is Donkey Kong Bananza exactly what this franchise needed? Or has it gone so far off the track that it shouldn't even be called Donkey Kong anymore? Mario Kart fans are being left out to dry. It's been over 3 months since Mario Kart World launched, and players have made it crystal clear that this game needs major changes and major updates. So how did Nintendo respond to this? By doing literally nothing. Instead, they gave Donkey Kong Bananza a brand new DLC. And by the way, that game hasn't even been out as long as Mario Kart. Not only that, but Nintendo has actually been talking about everything except Mario Kart. We just got a 1-hour Nintendo Direct and they didn't even make a single peep about it. Instead, they were busy showing off this trash-looking open world for the upcoming Metroid Prime. Like seriously Nintendo, what is it with you guys and making these terrible open worlds? It feels like they're just throwing in half-baked open worlds into random games and hoping it drives up the sales, without even thinking for like 5 seconds about what to put in those open worlds to actually make them worth it and make them fun. And did any of you guys catch that new Sonic trailer for the Cross Worlds game? They literally called out Mario Kart for having a boring open world in a racing game. And honestly, I'm so happy that they did that. It's actually hilarious. Like, what was Nintendo honestly thinking when they baked up this game? Now let me talk more about that Donkey Kong Bananza DLC really quick. Somehow that game already got a DLC. Maybe it's because people are actually enjoying that game as opposed to how people are reacting to Mario Kart World. But let's be honest here, from the looks of it, that DLC definitely should have been in the base game. And from what I'm hearing about it, it's definitely not worth the extra $20. But hey, Nintendo is scraping every penny they can out of fans right now, so why not drop a DLC? So what does that mean for Mario Kart World? Is Nintendo really leaving it behind? I think there's only 2 possible options here, and I want to go through both of those and then I'll let you guys decide what you think is actually going on. Option number 1 is that there is a big update coming, and I'm talking about like a game-changing massive update. Let me explain. Nintendo saw the backlash and it was a lot more than they obviously expected, so maybe they're holding back, working on this massive update that could really change the public opinion of the game. If that's the case, what would it need to include? Let's talk about it. First thing they'd have to do is fix the online. They've got to give us an option to toggle off the intermission tracks and give us the choice to run normal 3-lap races again. I think that's a gimme. Like, everybody knows that needs to be in the game. It honestly just still to this day, I know I've said it a million times and I'm beating a dead horse, but I just don't understand why that's not in the game already. The other thing that this would need to include is new free content. Bringing back missing fan favorites like Link or the Mii characters or Diddy Kong or really anybody, while also throwing in maybe a brand new character, somebody from Mario Wonder or something like that. That's one thing this game could really use that would make people happy, but it has to be free. I want to really specify that it has to be free, not a paid DLC. And tracks as well. They need to add in brand new free tracks. Ideally, an entire Grand Prix, so 4 brand new tracks, and personally I wouldn't mind seeing it based entirely on Mario Wonder. Maybe also add the Wonder Fruit as a new item. I mean, this game didn't really bring any new items to the table, at least not any good ones, so the Wonder Fruit could really be a game changer. So that's option number 1, that Nintendo is cooking up a massive, huge, brand new free update that would have brand new tracks, brand new characters, maybe some items, while also fixing some of the core problems that the game has to completely change how the public views this game. And I think that could really help. And hopefully option number 1 is the option that they're going with, because I mean, who doesn't want that, honestly? Like, who's not rooting for the game? Even as many hate videos as I've made on the game, I'm still rooting for this game. But let's talk about option number 2, which is definitely a possibility, and that is that Nintendo is actually going to abandon this game. Now, I know how ridiculous that sounds on the surface, so all I ask is that you just give me just a second to explain some of my reasons before you guys completely write this off, because I do think it actually is a possibility. Obviously, this is the much more depressing possibility. The idea that Nintendo could even think about leaving behind a Mario Kart game, especially one that just barely came out, sounds insane. But I want to make a couple things clear. I'm not saying that this game won't get any updates at all. That's very unlikely. But what I'm more suggesting is it might not get much support. Definitely not as much as Mario Kart 8, and possibly no full DLCs at all. Think about how Nintendo has been moving lately. They're chasing money, plain and simple. That's all they care about. Would they rather release DLC for a game that most people aren't liking right now, where the sales will be complete hit or miss? Yeah, some people will get the DLC, but some people won't because they're not enjoying the game very much. Or would they rather 2 years from now drop an $80 brand new Mario Kart and watch the masses rush to GameStop to buy it again? Does that sound so crazy now? I mean, honestly, Nintendo, they're not stupid. They know people will buy Mario Kart no matter what. They don't have to wait another decade to release the next one. They can push it out much sooner than they did this last time. But here's the thing, there's actually a little more evidence pointing back towards option number 1 so don't everybody get super worked up yet. Do you guys remember when this game first came out and people were noticing that Donkey Kong barely had any skins? There were some other characters that also barely had any, but he was one of the main ones that just didn't make any sense at all. I mean, Donkey Kong is a huge character, and he also had major characters missing, like why was Diddy Kong not in the game? Most people thought that this was going to be DLC right when Donkey Kong Bananza dropped. I mean, it made sense. They would have brand new skins that we've never seen before because they're from Donkey Kong Bananza, and they would also bring in characters like Diddy Kong and probably even tracks. This would have been a nice little boost for Mario Kart just a month after it came out, and it would have had everybody talking. But the game has been out for a while now, and Donkey Kong Bananza has also been out for a while now. So why did this not happen? What's the real reason that Donkey Kong barely has any skins? Because that's really the only explanation. So my theory on this is that they actually do have that Donkey Kong DLC, and it is ready to go for Mario Kart World. It would bring in new Donkey Kong skins, Diddy Kong, probably new tracks, but they seen the backlash that Mario Kart World was getting right off the rip, and they decided that they needed something much bigger, and they're going to package this in with whatever they're cooking up that's going to come out probably in a month or so. And that's when we'll have our real answer on what's going on with this game. The next update for this game is going to fully determine its entire lifespan. Because if this next update has nothing, with no announcements, no DLC coming up, nothing like that, that definitely means that option number 2 is very likely. I mean, they can wait a little while to make a good update, but they can't wait forever because people aren't going to wait around forever. A lot of people have already given up on this game. I'm not one of those people. I definitely think option number 1 is still the most likely option right now, but they are pushing it with time, especially with the huge backlash that this game has been getting.